Here's my solution. When the person is born, give them a birth certificate, an electronic medical record, and a health savings account. We already have this huge pot of money. Instead of sending it to some bureaucracy, let's put it in their HSAs.
That was Dr. Ben Carson speaking at the National Prayer Breakfast last February. President Obama seated just a few feet away. Shortly after that speech, our friendly neighborhood IRS started to look into Dr. Carson's finances. Coincidence? Here's Dr. Carson with Bill O'Reilly.
So what did they want? What did the IRS want?
Well, they wanted to investigate some property, some investment property that I had. And they came and found that all the I's were dotted and all the T's were crossed. And then they said, well, let's just do a general audit of everything. And that was okay. And they said, well, let's look at another year. And that was okay.
Maybe that was just a coincidence, though. Maybe it was.
Well, let's put it this way. I've never had anything before this with the IRS, and nothing has changed. So
yeah,
the only
you didn't
thing
have
that
to pay any
changed,
penalties or anything. They just went through your stuff. So do you really
Exactly.
believe that because you criticized some of the president's policies at the prayer breakfast that the IRS was given a little, hey, why don't you give them a little jazz? Do you think that happened?
well, whether that was the case or not, you know, the fundamental issue here is the freedom of our citizens is being threatened.
And last time I checked, there was a First Amendment that involves free speech in our Constitution. But apparently, no one has told that to the president or his administration. Richard Fowler is a Democratic strategist who joins us, along with Kellyanne Conway, a Republican strategist. All right, Kellyanne, I'm going to start with you. I mean, what say you? Is Dr. Carson another IRS target, or is this just something that happens?
I don't think anything just happens with this IRS. They've admitted, Lois Lerner has just about admitted that they were targeting people out of the Cincinnati office who had Tea Party or conservative in their name, denying them their rightful non-for-profit tax status. But I think there are three scandals here. One is that you've got a law-abiding citizen, a taxpayer who has a neurosurgeon, saved and improved countless lives, Presidential Medal of Freedom recipient, who's being harassed by the IRS because of his beliefs. If he were a Democrat, they'd be screaming racism. But I will say that he's being targeted because of who he is and what he believes and how he embarrassed the president. Number two, nobody in the mainstream media is talking about it. They're ignoring it completely. And number three, this is the same IRS now, Judge, who's going to start helping to implement Obamacare. No wonder there have been glitches and problems in the first couple of days.
All right, Richard, you're shaking your head and laughing.
Way to load it on. I got to tell you, Judge, I think just because there's correlation, there's definitely no causation here. I think at the end of the day,
everything is coincidence?
Well, I would say it is coincidental. He's only been audited once, and beyond that fact, I think to answer Kelly's point, not only did the IRS investigate groups from the right, they also investigated groups from the left with progressive in their title.
Richard, how many? 2 on the left and 100 on the right?
They were still investigated.
Oh, so you will concede that point.
And not to mention that in
the vast majority were the political opponents of
in 2004, under the Bush IRS, they audited the NAACP. So
yeah, okay, and that was one. And what about the fact that all of these are Kelly? I'll let you answer.
Yeah, and they actually said that it was, quote, inadvertent. What's really troubling here is very recently it was revealed that the IRS released all the names of the donors of National Organization of Marriage, who are they're against same-sex marriage, they're for traditional marriage. Not only did they release, it's a felony, by the way, to release release the list of donors for a non-for-profit organization, they released them to the Human Rights Campaign, which is their political opponent. The day after it was revealed that the donors were released, the head of the HRC left the Human Rights Campaign to be a co-chair of the Obama campaign. Now that's a coincidence too. I mean, at least admit it. Say, you know what, we won the election.
I'm a prosecutor. I don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah,
Richard,
exactly.
Lois Lerner is now retired. Kellyanne says she basically admitted that they were targeting people, not just a few rogue employees from the Cincinnati office, but it's connected to Washington. And what's worse is you've got all of these people from the IRS meeting with the president right before the Inspector General's report comes out, which report the president only heard about on the news.
Listen, I think this is a continued, I think the media is really building a scandal narrative around this president, and where the focus needs to be is how we get our government working again, how we get more and more people health care under the Affordable Care Act. And that's a conversation, that we should
Don't
be.
even go there.
Oh, come on.
Have you done it?
I've been on the website.
Okay, good. How old are you?
I am 26.
Yeah, I knew you were. My son is. Yeah. Okay, do you have health care?
I do have health care.
Okay, through your employer, or did you buy it yourself?
I do have health care through my employer, but I have a lot of friends who have enrolled in the exchange. Any system is going to have a glitch, just like that. Like the president said, the OS 7 system had a glitch, and you fix it. And I think that's what we continue to see from this president. And I think Dr. Carson will agree that we can fund the NIH and continue to give more money to
the Republicans
healthcare
are funding it. The
research.
Democrats voted against it.
Well,
except
the
for 35.
Paul Ryan budget guts the NIH.
Hold on.
It completely
Just
guts
this week, every Democrat in the House, except for 35 of them, voted against funding kids for
That's because you
cancer
guys
under
shut
the
the government
NIH.
down.
No, but we
keep it open, didn't they?
83% of the government is
Ted
open,
Cruz,
including
Ted
kids with
Cruz and his
cancer.
buddies shut the
Let me ask you a
government
question.
down.
Oh my
How do you
God.
feel about the fact that the president of the United States and the administration talks about the Republicans having bombs strapped to their chests? They're terrorists. They got a gun to our head. Who talks like that?
The president, a man who won't negotiate.
Go ahead, Richard. Last
You
word.
know, he weighed in today on the
Wait a
Redskins
minute.
changing their name. He
Singular.
said it's negotiable for the Washington
minute.
Redskins to change their name, but he can't
'cause we're
negotiate
going.
a
Wait a minute.
shutdown.
At the end of the day, Ted Cruz went down a dead-end path to try to repeal
What does that do with Ted
Obamacare,
Cruz? Who's
and he
the
shut down the
president?
government,
All right.
and
Who's the
800,000
president?
people are
Where's the president
They will
tonight?
continue fighting.
Negotiate.
Thanks for being with us tonight. And coming up, the latest on the newlywed who pushes her husband to his death off a cliff. And it's your last chance to sound off on our Insta poll. The SUV versus the biker gang. Road rage run amok? Who's to blame? Facebook or Twitter me at Judge Jeanine. Tweet me. We want to know what you think.